Okay, hello, hello. This is going to be a slight departure from the last art gripe that we did. This time around, I'm trying something different. This time, I have a friend with me. Say hello, friend.
Hello.
All right.
I'm the friend.
Yes, yes, you are. You're the dear friend. So
That's
this is
me.
whatever. What's your name that you're going by this time around? Peach,
Uh
Saliva. I never know what
yes,
the hell's
that's
going
me.
on there.
That's me.
All right. So,
That's me. That is my name.
anyways, this one will be about an hour long, I guess. So prepare for that page, not page.
I'm prepared.
All right. So this
I'm prepared. No, I've got my blankie and I have my smoothie. I'm ready.
fantastic. All right. So I guess I'll briefly go over the idea of doing the. I just wanted to do something a little bit different just to try something out. I was talking about my last art gripe, the idea of what exactly it is that you guys are really looking for in regards to the channel, and I, whenever in retrospect, I was thinking maybe asking the people at the end of an art gripe what they were looking for more than anything else was not a good idea because all the answers were like art gripes. We all like art gripes, just to keep doing those. It's like, well, of course, the people that were watching art gripes would say that. And I've in prior experience, I've also noticed that people don't like it whenever new people come in, and while I'm doing my commentary because I get so rambly, and I guess that's what people are the video for. In the video for.
Mm,
So
yeah.
if you don't like this format, that's fine. It's not something I'm gonna be like, this is the channel from now on or anything like that. So just if it strikes your fancy, just let me know. If it doesn't, it doesn't. All right. So what we're doing here is a sort of miniature Beastars review, I guess, in addition to the drawing. So
Sounds great.
I watch Beastars lately, and I've actually gone through and read all the manga, and you have
I have
seen all
not.
the anime.
Yes, I've not read any of the manga. I've seen like a couple of photos of it. I think that you have shown me, and that's it.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Watch out.
Coincidentally, I was going to draw Q for any that know what that is, but apparently that's wrong because I can't draw the giant rabbit bazooms because that would be a spoiler for obvious reasons. So in that case, I decided to just go ahead and draw Haru. All right. So
Haru.
yes, I actually had to open a tab that just has all the characters listed because I'm very bad about remembering names, especially character
Oh,
names
I
and
can't
things.
remember. Can't remember almost any of their names.
Yeah. So
Like I know there's the Harlequin rabbit and there's the lady dog. That's it.
I don't know who the Mizuchi is the name of the Harlequin rabbit. Apparently,
Oh, how the fuck?
I would
How
never.
could
I
I
would never have known
possibly?
that. She doesn't even really.
I've never.
She doesn't even really appear in the manga until like. By the way, this will have like spoilers for the first season, I guess, of the anime. Otherwise, we can't talk about it. So,
Yeah.
if you want to go ahead and see that before we proceed, this would be a good time to pause the video, right? But the Harlequin rabbit actually doesn't show up until the attack, as it were.
Really?
Yeah, like the pacing between the manga and the anime does change a lot of things, and it reduces some of the scenes. But in my opinion, it handles it a lot better in many cases because
Real.
there's a lot of
Okay.
things that are spread out in very strange ways, and
Mm-hmm.
the anime does a better job of condensing all the scenes and having everything have more of a point to it, I guess.
Okay.
I forgot to
Well,
put the
wait, because
face.
the very first time we are introduced to Haru is with. Wait, no, it's not with the Harlequin rabbits. It's her lackeys
In the
in the
anime.
anime. Her
Yeah.
lackeys are yeah.
In the
They're, like,
manga, the first
dumping
time
her
you
shit.
ever see her is whenever she gets attacked.
Mhm.
Like that's the first, yeah, that's the
Really?
first time she ever shows up. It's very weird.
That's so bizarre.
I might be, misremembering that. There might be like one or two little instances where maybe she pops up in a panel somewhere, but I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Oh wow.
So there are some weird pacing issues going on in regards to the manga.
Right. Right. Okay.
So I guess the main thing that I kind of wanted to talk about, like I could go over the plot points and everything, but that's usually not what the art gripes are about. Usually the art gripes are more
Right.
about like sappy self analysis and stuff like that.
Cool. We love it. We love it.
I guess the thing that I really more wanted to talk about in regards to Beastars was the
Mhm.
general I guess, sentiment of how relationships work and the general like tone and theming of the story so far in relation to season one or the first bit of the manga.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Oh no. Go ahead.
so, like in relation to the drawing here, that's also my thought process. Like whenever I decided that I was going to draw these two, I decided what would be the best way to try to encapsulate the general theme of the show and the story in a way that makes sense visually and encapsulates both of their personalities, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
actually the final drawing ended up being the exact thing that I set out to do, which is incredibly rare for my drawings. The posing and stuff is a little bit different as far as what I initially thought it was going to be. Actually, originally was going to have her sort of sitting down in his lap, which I thought would be a little bit more evocative, but I ended up having her just doing sort of a standing position because the having to angle her legs towards the camera kind of was really I wasn't really feeling it, so I decided to change that.
Yeah. Well, I think also, I know I hate to be all like, ooh, let's talk, artsy, like I'm an artist or something. But I think it's interesting that you chose to make her stand instead of sit, because if she's standing, that means she probably has more of an option to run away.
That's one of the
and she's
reasons
not.
why, because I think the attack scene probably sums up the show better than anything else as far as scenes go. In the anime, I told you this, but in the anime, it almost makes it seem like whenever I first saw, I didn't know anything about the show, but whenever I first saw it, I was like, oh, is someone releasing some sort of weird gas that's making people lose their minds? Because, Zootopia.
Right.
And
Like
so
in
on.
Pokemon or some shit. Yeah.
But it like the manga makes it way more clear. No, he's just doing this. Like he's just losing control of himself. And the more the story goes on, the more clear it is that that's what the entire thing is supposed to be about. And that kind of goes alongside the concepts of how the author maybe not believes how relationships should work or anything, but it's definitely falling in line with the way that she's writing the story, I guess, overall.
Yeah. That was an incredible scene. I knew nothing about Beastars going in, and there's so much money poured into this show, you can really tell, but that scene in particular is one of the ones where so much money and thought went into it. Does it compare to the manga in that way? Like, does that seem...
As far as the art goes in the manga, I'm glad you brought that up. I probably would have forgotten about it. As far as the art goes in the manga, I wouldn't say that I don't want to insult her, but she's not like raw talent or anything. The strongest thing that she has going for her, and what most people complain about, is because everything is 3D models in the show, even though you can tell that there's money involved, the models don't carry the same energy that a lot of the way that she draws does.
Okay. In what way?
I've shown you some of them, but there's lots of reaction images and stuff that you can find online. But she draws in a way that you can tell that she's spent a lot of time drawing very small thumbnail characters. A lot of people are like this. People that animate typically do this too. Like a good example that comes off the top of my head is probably Pendleton Ward, who did Adventure Time. You can tell that he just draws on napkins a lot. And you can always tell character models that look that way because they're very condensed and simplified. There's not much going on as far as the design goes. But as time has gone on, I forget, what is the name of the author? I can't even remember. Juno something? No, it's not Juno. That's one of the characters. It's a complicated name that I can't actually remember. I'll look it up here. Beastars. Oh, excuse me. Paru. That's the reason why I was thinking of it. Paru Itagaki. Goodness, no wonder I didn't remember that. There's no way I can remember that.
I've never... Oh my god, she's the chicken.
Yes, she's the chicken. She's also
by the way,
the daughter of the grappler Baki creator, which is fun.
Cool. Wow, that mask. I just looked her up, and she's wearing like a full-on mask
she does not
that
like being,
exact chicken.
She does not like being seen. She also has
Wow.
a self-stylized avatar that's like a duck in a way. I think she says she doesn't know exactly what kind of species it is, but to me it looks like a duck. Because it says that she says that it looks like what her face looks like. So you can tell that she has a lot of like personal insecurity issues.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, as far as the art style goes, she's been improving a lot. Like you can tell the more that it goes on, she's been improving more and more. But especially in the beginning, whenever characters emote and they're like reacting to things in comical ways, they carry a lot of energy and personality to them that the 3D models just can't do. So that's one of the flaws that I would say that the anime has.
That's super interesting because I super love I love the art in the show. I love the way most of the characters look. I think they're so beautiful and interesting. The only character that I think is ugly as sin is Haru, which makes it difficult for me because, you know, she's supposed to be like the most beautiful creature, the most, because I believe in the show she's like the most desired female that they mention.
I almost want to disagree with that in a way.
Oh, okay.
But proceed with that thought, because I have another thought that coincides with that.
So okay, I take back the ugly, the severity of her ugliness. I don't think that she is ugly. I do find her incredibly plain.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if that is purposeful, because Juno, she drew Juno very purposefully, big eyes, fluffy hair. Haru does not have that at all. In fact, I'm looking at the way you've drawn her here, and she's so cute.
Yeah, I went out of my way to
adorable.
make sure that she was much cuter looking.
Yeah, whereas she just has giant black eyes that don't even seem to shine much. It depends. Sometimes they're like black, sometimes they're like a super dark red, which of course, she's a dwarf rabbit. But I'm a little, I wonder if it was like a choice or what her reason was behind that, because she can clearly.
Here's my thought process on that. In the manga, I've told you this. In the anime, like you can feel like the intense like sexual energy behind everything, because that's what the show is supposed to be about, right? The difference between men and women and instinct and so forth and so on.
Right.
In the manga, characters are not sexy, like at all. Like I don't get any of that like sexual furry energy, I guess, from the manga. As far as the manga is concerned, Haru especially just looks like a rabbit. It is a rabbit head that has been screwed onto a vaguely humanoid body, and that's it.
Huh.
It's very weird.
Okay.
And even like a character like Juno? Is that what her name? Yes, Juno. Even a character like Juno, the dog girl, the wolf girl. In the anime, I think she looks a little bit weird because her face is so long. Like elongated. I've talked about cheat angles before in videos, and you won't know what I'm talking about. People that have been watching videos for a while will know what I'm talking about. But whenever it comes to anthropomorphic characters that have like really long snouts, because of the fact that you're drawing in 2 dimensions and you're drawing using lines as opposed to usually shading things out the long way, you can do cheat angles where characters are either looking straight ahead or they're at very specific 3/4 angles where you don't have to worry too much about the fact that their actual anatomy looks weird to the human eye. If they're just looking straight at you, then the human eye can just recognize eye, nose, mouth. And like Haru, the way I drew Haru here, you can just look at that and it almost looks like a person, because the human eye doesn't really... The human eye is just looking for basic features, usually. So whenever it comes to drawing like a little rabbit nose or anything, you don't really see the rabbit nose, you just see where the nose is gestured to be. Like that's the reason why anime works. So many character models are drawn without noses at all, or they have like little dots for noses or something. And that works because the human eye doesn't really care that much. So whenever you're doing anthropomorphic characters, you can tell in the original manga that the creator is drawing them that way, where they're simplified a lot of the times, and they're so gestural that you don't actually have to worry about looking at the character and seeing something as being beautiful or not beautiful.
Okay.
But as far as her looking normal, like this generic looking, like she really sells that in the manga for obvious reasons. If she just looks like a rabbit, right?
Yeah.
I think like I've said this in a tweet, and I had to very carefully word that tweet. That tweet.
Just a little treat.
I had to carefully word it because I thought this is going to come across as really sexist if I don't say this the right way. And I only got like one, I think, comment that was like, that seems kind of sexist. But and a couple of people were like, nah, it's not a big deal. So apparently I worded it correctly. But I think I phrased it something like, flawed heroine that is caught in a love triangle being pursued by an animalistic man that's driven by instincts. He's very... It'd probably be easier to just look the thing up. But he's very like kind and reserved. And yeah, I'll just go ahead and read the damn tweet, for God's sakes.
Tweet.
Beastars. my treats, yes. Well, guess I'm not going to find it.
No?
Guess I'll just have to go back and do it manually. And go through my swarm of kitten pictures. Okay. Watching Beastars. A flawed heroine caught in a love triangle pursued by a dangerous, tall, good-natured, handsome, spirited man who can barely suppress his feral instincts for her only. I suspected the author might be a woman. Spoiler, totally is. Really great series. That was what the tweet was. So that, if you can't tell, that follows this. The reason why I said that is because it follows the same format that a lot of like romance novels follow, where there is the one guy who's usually like rich. He's very well off. He's the right choice. He's the one that's been set up for her. I think Pride and Prejudice is set up the same way. But there's the other guy. He's like the one that's probably low income, but he's like naturally very handsome, and they get along so well, so easily, so naturally. But also he's got like a dark streak to him. He's sort of like, he's not violent, but he also has an animalistic quality where he's like really raw and natural and, emotionally exciting, right? Mm-hmm. And that's like so many, that's the way that so many women write these kinds of stories, where there is the plain woman that really hasn't done anything to deserve or warrant any attention or love from that guy, but just for some reason, he's just obsessed with her. And this story follows the exact same general format.
Interesting. Would you consider Haru then a Mary Sue?
No. I would You don't have to be Mary Sue for that to also work. Usually, actually, it's better off for the character to exhibit extreme flaws. Because
which she does have.
Yes.
Well, I wouldn't say a flaw. I would say, what would you...
She's not flawed in the concept of she's doing something incorrect. She's flawed in the idea that she's not like a perfect idealized woman, in other words.
Yeah.
Because the fetish for this specific kind of writing, like for the romance novel sort of format of writing, and I'm not trying to degrade the story, by the way, but this is sort of the same general progression, I guess, of elements, is that it's like whenever a guy writes a sleazy thing where he has like a harem anime is a great example of this. That's what harem animes are. They're meant for the viewer to project himself into the seat of that character. So in the harem anime, the guy is always like running away from all the women that want him. All the women are pursuing the main character. That's crazy. They all want him. All the antics are getting into it, and they're always like half naked, and their tits are just bouncing everywhere. That's crazy. Like it's sleaze. Like Beastars is not sleaze, but it's still
sexually charged.
Yeah, it's sexually charged and sort of a female fetish in many ways.
Well, it's that. I mean, this is a very generalized way of thinking,
oh, yes.
but the idea is a man wants to be a woman's first, a woman wants to be a man's last. And I feel like it's such a complicated show, I think. And that's one reason why I really like it. But there are some very simple generic tropes
Yes.
that are its foundation.
But that was my point.
But
the general framework of the story is just sort of trope focused, but once you start getting below that, it starts getting way more complicated.
Oh, it's so fucking... I can't remember if it happens in episode, like, 3 or 4, but it just takes a hold. It's like, holy shit. There's a point where it's shockingly violent and shockingly sexual at points where I don't expect it to be. It's so unexpected, this show. Yeah.
Because with, like, the whole point with the Haru thing is, usually in the format of writing like that, the whole idea is that the main female protagonist should be someone that is someone you can project onto, and someone that has enough flaws that... Because I know that's a big thing with a lot of women, is just the constant self-negativity and self-doubt of, I don't deserve this, I'm trying to put on the air that I deserve this, but I don't, and that's constant. So the idea of being someone that is overtly flawed, but it's still desired because you can see who the person is under those complications, is something that a lot of women really get off on. Again, very generalized there, though.
Yeah. It's I was very surprised to find that, because in the opening scene, the scene where we meet Haru in the anime, where the Harlequin rabbit is introduced and is essentially like, hey, you're a slut, you tried to sleep with my boyfriend, and I'm gonna tell everyone you're a giant slut. And I thought, oh, it's one of those. And then it turns out she actually is sleeping with God and everybody. And I was so surprised that they went that route.
Because whenever you see that trope, you would think that it's like, the first thing I thought was, oh, it's a rumor mill because they don't like her for some reason. Right. And none of this is actually true. But no, it's totally true. She is doing those things.
Yeah. Yeah. And her reasoning behind it also totally makes sense. And when you finally come to that point, like, I had my hand up to my forehead and I was just like, wow.
It's not a good reason, but it's a very understandable, realistic one.
Very understandable.
And of course, her reason being that she is, like, trying to find agency with herself because she's born as this small pygmy rabbit that has, like, no worth as far as society is concerned. So her way of equalizing herself with the world around her is
to become intimate with... Yeah.
And to gain power over them. Or not even to gain power over them, is to equalize everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as she's saying that, she's like clasping hands with someone, and it's very beautiful. Yeah, that was very unexpected. When she starts taking off her clothes, when
Lugosi.
Spoiler alert, I guess. When Lugosi, comes to visit her for the first time, and just takes, second time technically, and she just immediately is like, well, all right, and just starts taking off her clothes. I, like, backed up into the couch and I was like, whoa. And there she is in her bra and underwear, and I'm like, what the fuck? I had no idea that she was just so casual. But then, of course, I'm like, oh, she's a rabbit. And I know that's a generalization, but I was like, oh, that was a genuine shock to me. But artistically, go ahead.
Let's go back to the attack scene before going into that, because that's also a good way to explain why he's attracted to her in the first place.
Okay.
Because with the attack scene, obviously, the entire point of the attack scene is that it's... like, there's so many, like, basic raw fears, especially for women, that are in that, too. The idea of being, like, stalked as prey and, like, pounced upon, and to have no power over the situation. And to just... Like, it's not a rape scene or anything, but it's like, charged with that same, like, energy of, like, extreme danger.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, it's awful for her in that situation.
Yeah. Oh, I was scared. I found myself scared I was very surprised. It's interesting to me that it seems to be the scent is incredibly obviously they're animals, but her scent in particular is incredibly important to Lugosi's attraction. And I wonder if she smelled different, right? I wonder if he would be as attracted to her.
I was trying to
Because
remember.
there are other animals.
I was trying to remember the exact nature of how it went down in the manga, because there's a couple of scenes that you didn't see that were not like. I think I sent you one of Luis, or however they pronounce his name exactly, but it's written out as Louis, but of course Japanese, so they don't say Louis.
Yeah.
Of him like holding the gun to Bill the tiger's head.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Because he he found out about Louis in the black market and all that stuff, and that's like something you just never see. That
happens early. That happens that early.
Yeah. Because it coincides with the scene of him and the finger scene and all that stuff.
Okay, yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff that goes down around that sort of area, and all of it kind of coincides. But during the attack, like the reason why he's there, and I didn't really pick up on it in the anime, they may have said something about it, but I don't remember. Is the reason why he was just standing out in the middle of nowhere next to that fountain is because he was waiting on them to get done
rehearsing.
Yeah, rehearsing. Because
yes.
The order of events is a little bit different in the manga, so it's kind of confusing me as far as trying to describe it. It's not really even important. But he's there for that reason. He's waiting on them. He's keeping a lookout because they're not supposed to be there that late. So already there's this element of danger. He's not supposed to be in the area. And that entire time he's been like suppressed. Like it's all getting wrapped up this notion of he's a teenager. He's been suppressing him. Like I saw someone, I think it was on the subreddit, say, I bet Plague identifies with Lugosi because they basically are the same person. And I thought, you know what? That's really true because we are basically the same person in a lot of ways. Because I kind of operate the same way, where the entire time that I've been a male, I've been suppressing a lot of that. Just like, I'm not a threat, don't worry. Like, women, I'm not going to be like this person. I've always detested the really aggressive hyper males that are just... Of course, we've had these sorts of conversations a lot. But I've always had this notion of trying to not protect women or anything, but just, I don't want to be that guy. So I've always been like that in regards to pushing down any sort of basic human desires that I have. And I've always had a sort of stonewalled personality where I'm trying to remain in control all the time. So as a result, I'm sort of like Lugosi in that way. That he's always trying to maintain control himself. And this is a very male attitude as well. As far as the writing go, that's what actually surprised me, is that she understands men as well as she does.
Yes, Pat said the exact same thing. He would like snap his fingers and point at the screen, and he would be like, how does she know? And I'm sitting there clueless.
Yeah, because
like I didn't know what he meant.
There are so many things that are like just intrinsically terrifying to guys. Just knowing, like so many things about isolation and suppression and trying to remain in control and having basic desires that are external, like having like instinctive desires that are driving you, especially whenever you're younger, that you're constantly trying to rein in and keep under control because that's not who you are, and trying to identify where do I begin and where do like instincts begin and things like that. So the whole point of the attack scene is like roping those two things together. Women being the ones that are being preyed upon, like fearing men, but also like desiring them at the same time, and men having impulses that are extrinsic to how they actually are in real life, because that's not who they are, but at the same time it is. And the fact that he's like, he desires her, but he's also like, even the pose that he's in, where it's like a pose of aggression, where he's like constraining her and attacking her, but at the same time he's like wrapping her up in a pose
holding her.
Yeah, he's like protecting her from the world around her at the same time.
Yeah.
And also trying not to harm her at the same time.
Yeah, I'm really glad she did that pose. It's very purposeful, I think.
Mm-hmm. But anyways, as far as that go, you can see what the entire point of that attack scene is. It's just introducing that
Yeah.
like raw core element of this is how men and women interact with one another. And
Well, to be fair, the original or the first, at least in the anime, I don't know how it is in the comic, but the first victim is a male. I think Tem.
yeah,
Is it like actually Tem? So it's. Do you think it is an allegory, like strictly men and women, or do you think it's more like feminine and masculine?
well, in that case, it's
would you
more a
say?
matter of
Herbivore, carnivore.
it's like whenever they actually like I read through the whole thing, and eventually they do get to who the killer was, and I know who the killer was, and so forth and so on.
Oh, don't tell me! Don't
I'm
tell
not.
me.
Don't worry. But even that has, without going too much into it, even that has relation to the nature of what it means to be a man and how that relates to the relationship that the killer had with his prey and things like that. So to sort of loosely answer that question, that doesn't necessarily have anything to do directly with like romantic relations, but it's still everything to do with the nature of what it means to just be a guy and to
Okay.
live as a man.
Manhood.
Yeah.
Okay.
So even
Okay.
then, yes.
Interesting. There was a part where they are at the Love Hotel that I did not understand, where Lugosi cups his hands and puts them between his legs and sits there, and I didn't get it, and Pat like started freaking out, and I'm like, what? He's like, she fucking gets, like, whoa. I'm like, what? And I guess it's because I guess just simply being around Haru gave him an erection. And like that's something that men do that I've never ever noticed ever. Maybe there's no boners around me. I don't know. But I've never seen that before. And there's apparently certain behaviors that she's able to capture that men do, that Lugosi does, that never occurred to me ever. But Pat kept like, mopping his brow. I wonder if you have the same feeling.
It's not even like you're interpreting a lot of them as being like physical actions in regards to physiology. A lot of it is more just the like how we think whenever things like that are going down. A lot of that is just the constant state of panic and trying to protect ourselves, and like a lot of the misunderstanding of men and women is this idea that men are the ones that are in control and we're the ones that are we can like say things that women can't, and things of that nature. We're the ones that supposedly we're the ones that are expected to take the risks and the ones that are expected to take care of business and so forth and so on. But we're racked with self-doubt and fears like anyone else is. But, of course, as men, we're expected to never admit that because we're not allowed to. So, whenever it comes down to things like romantic attraction, one of the things that terrifies men is the fact that we are looking for someone that we can finally open up to and just be ourselves with. And just, that's one of the great fears of men. With women, it's more of a physical fear of, do I dare hop into a car with this guy? Who knows what's going to happen? It's like you're driving around with a bear, right? Like, who knows if he's going to freak out or what's going on with him? Is he a predator? But with with men, it's completely emotional. It's not a physical thing, obviously. It's whenever you are worrying about being with a woman, is can I trust her with who I really am? If I open up myself and all of my like deepest fears, and because that's what men are really looking for beyond just the physical. Like we have physical impulses, of course, but whenever it comes to like emotional, like romantic liaisons, it's more a matter of looking for the opportunity, like for like once in our lives, because we just don't get this, to actually just open up and be ourselves and to have open emotional communication with someone. Because otherwise we're always locked up. We're always like stuck in a prison of ourselves. Because that's what is expected of us by everyone. Especially other women.
Really?
Yes. Like there's so many times where, like, one of the most famous cases of bad advice is the, like, women like an emotional, what's the word? A sensitive man. Like, one is sensitive man, and they love it when you're, like, emotionally open with them and stuff like that. And that's good advice once you get to the point in the relationship where you can actually do that. But there's many cases where men have done that. I've had many friends have this problem, and I've seen this happen a lot of times, where they do that really quickly or too soon in the relationship that they're in, and immediately the woman loses all interest for probably a couple of major reasons. One is that a lot of women are looking for, especially young women, are looking for relationships that are emotionally satisfying to them, like emotionally exciting. So whenever the guy, like, lowers his guard and starts divulging who he actually is, he stops being interesting. He might be more empathetic, but she just stops caring about him romantically at that point. That can happen. The other might be that she just doesn't like what she sees. Maybe, especially emotionally undeveloped girls and things, in very young women, might see that as a sign of weakness because they actually do expect the cliche, and they expect the man to be this complete, like, iron wall of resolve that is just in control at all times because he's the alpha male or whatever. That happens too.
Well, that's stupid.
It is. But that's just one of the many concerns that men have to deal with. As stupid as that is, that should not happen.
Yeah.
But as far as, like, being intimate with women is concerned, that's something that a lot of men have to deal with, and that's what Lugosi has to deal with. He's like through the entire course of season 1, he's a virgin, and he stays that way because that's the whole point behind his character, is that he's constantly in a state of protecting himself from the possibility of being a complete male, I guess, and the fact that he's able to withdraw himself from primal need and what society is telling him he should be is what is actually allowing him to be exceptional in the first place.
The problem, though, in their relationship is if he really is himself, right? Quote unquote, like his it's so difficult because sometimes it seems to be an allegory for puberty, sometimes not. I'm not entirely sure. But if he is truly himself, he will devour her. And at one point, I think she even asks him to. And at one point, her arm is shoved into his mouth simply on instinct. She does,
because her body is supposedly telling her this is not something that is natural. This should not be happening.
Yeah.
I can't remember if that's an actual instinct or not with the rabbits. Because I know
to hop in something's mouth.
Well, just
I wonder that as well.
In the moment of possibly dying, to seek out death to ensure that you don't prolong suffering.
Suffer.
Yeah. I can't remember if that's a real thing or not. I do remember hearing that in the past because I recognized it whenever I saw it as a notion, but I don't know if it's actually true or not. Let's say it that way.
Do rabbits kill themselves?
Well, not necessarily just rabbits.
Just rabbits.
Do animals, I don't know how they even phrase that, seek out death as they're being killed to ensure that they die?
Let's see. When frightened rabbits, I don't know if this is true. Wait, when frightened rabbits can jump with so much force, they break their spines?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But anyways,
jeez,
getting kind of off topic, I guess.
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, like everything about the story is charged in that way. It's like touching on a lot of things in regards to the psychology of opening yourself up in a relationship. Like even like the whole nature of it being predator and prey adds a lot to it. The idea...
Oh, go ahead.
Well, no, just the idea of... Because I guess it's like, because it's cranked up to 11, sometimes it's kind of hard to judge exactly where the metaphor for it being sexual starts and where it actually being world building starts.
Yeah. When they eventually leave Cherryton Academy and they go out to the real world, it seems like there's almost no problem. And but then again, they have the dark market, right?
Yeah, and I guess the point is
yeah,
that adults have all learned to cope in their own ways.
Mm. Did you see Zootopia, by the way? I did not.
Yeah. Of course, Zootopia has sort of vaguely similar themes, but obviously doesn't touch anywhere close to this sort of stuff.
Right, yeah, I imagine not.
And Judy Hopps is a much more attractive character than Haru is.
Yeah, Haru...
There's a lot of porn in Judy Hopps.
Yeah, there is. I know that. Wow. Why is that? Does she have like a big ass or something?
I guess because she's very shapely as far as her character design goes.
Okay.
And has like an engaging personality too.
Haru's body seems to change.
Oh yeah.
Like when she originally takes off her clothes, and you see her in her bra and underpants, and I remember her being like, "Yeah, well, guess we should fuck," and just takes off her clothes nonchalant. Her body was not remarkable like I expected like the heroines to be. Mm-hmm. Right? It's not a bad body. She has, she's the tits, she's got them. But
she's really weird looking. Like her body type is very strange in the manga.
Really? What does it look like?
Because again, the author, even by her own admission, does not draw like sexy particularly well, and she can't draw people well. And whenever she starts trying to draw like furry characters that are like sexually charged, she doesn't do it particularly well. So, especially early on, like she's gotten better and better. Even the way that they draw her kind of differs from scene to scene. Whenever you first see her, she kind of just looks like a rabbit with weird, like, human tits welded onto her. It's really weird looking. There's nothing sexy about it, really. It's just something that's happening. But whenever he, like, looks back on it and he starts, like, seeing her in his mind, she looks way more attractive and way more, like, provocative and sexually charged.
She's got massive tits. Yeah. I wonder... So, obviously, you are so much further ahead. Mm-hmm. And so my ponderances are... I wonder how much of it has to do with who Haru is and... or even her appearance, or if it is just literally her scent, because they make a huge deal out of her scent, even going so far as to give it a color technically a shape.
They cover that pretty well in the first season, though. You should have probably...
Did they?
Because the whole deal with him is just that she's like the ultimate kind of prey. Because...
Right.
Well, something that the author does say in the notes is that she draws Haru to be sort of a Lolita character. Like the fact that she is tiny and so vulnerable, and like she is an extreme form of like a type of woman, basically. And that's part of the reason why Lugosi is interested in her in the first place, is because it's really like amping up everything about what he's going through to 11. Because she is prey, for one, like she's not a carnivore, she's just prey. She is extremely small, extremely vulnerable, so it's like wiring into him the things that he is denying himself.
Mm-hmm.
Like this reason why I wanted to establish the attack before going into the meeting, because this goes into it too.
Right.
She's prey, she's extremely small, extremely vulnerable. The rabbit is like one of the smallest kinds of prey that you can find in this world, that is not so small that it stops registering as being like sexually desirable, I guess, is part of it as well.
Oh, see, that's where my confusion was, is what about like the mice and the squirrels, because they make an
fuck
appearance.
A mouse, probably. I imagine this.
Why not? I mean, they're all animals. I mean, Jesus.
Well, it's probably not registering him with him as woman, because that's like
right.
Sure, there was the prey scene where he attacked her as prey, as something to be consumed. But the first time he really felt attraction to her that he could feel is whenever she, like, presented herself as, I am female, I'm going to seduce you. Because remember, he says...
Right.
This is another reason why I started thinking, geez, this is me, like Lugosi, is because he has the comment of, that's the first time anyone had ever treated me as being male. Because with me, that does not happen very often. It's more just, I'm Eli, and I'm a human, and that's it. And I go so out of my way to make sure that people can't treat me as male, just so that I'm not freaking anyone out because that's just how I was raised and I never got out of it. That whenever someone actually does like exhibit actual desire for me physically, that like I'm not used to it. I can't handle it because it's just so completely alien to me. So whenever Lugosi says that's the first time that anyone has ever actually treated me as being male, it like awakens something inside of him. And he actually looks at her and starts seeing her as being like, oh, yeah, women. Because that's something that's awakening in him naturally as an adolescent as well.
Right. Yeah, I know. He definitely notices Juno when she's all dolled up, but he refuses her both like literally to her face and within himself
because he's already created the associative desire of prey and sex as well as like rabbits and so on. The reason why he's interested in her isn't necessarily because she's good looking. Like she's not the height of like pure raw sexual energy or anything. It's just that she is making herself available and she's presented herself as being female whenever that's something that's never been part of his identity before. And probably more importantly than all that, she is so juxtapositioned against his personality specifically because he's so reserved, he's so controlled, but at the same time, she is completely the opposite of that. Because that is her character. She's like sleeping with random people. She has personal agency. She gets up in your face and tells you that you're not important if she feels like it. Like with
but it's really sad.
Yeah, with like Lewis, whenever she's meeting him for the first time, she's like, I don't know who that is. I don't care who you are. Like that's her personality.
Yeah, it's really sad to me because she's. I can't quite remember this, but I believe she's the sole member of the gardening club.
Yes, she's the only one doing that.
Yeah, and it saddened me because I completely identified with that as an extrovert when you're alone. Like, oh my God, she must be so lonely, right? Like she's the sole member of her club. Jesus Christ.
Whenever I heard that, it's like, wow, that's like a great job. You get left alone.
See, like as soon as I heard that, I was like, ugh. Like I felt it, right?
Well, especially with women, I imagine, because women are usually so much more extroverted, and there's so much, like, the whole, like, you know way more about this than I do, just women are constantly so awful to one another, and there's so many, like, little infights and tendency to form little cliques and all this other stuff, so Haru being, like, completely isolated, and all the women hate her, and no one wants anything to do with her. Like, I imagine that carries a lot more weight as far as, like, identifying with her if you're a female viewer.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt it. It's not great. Yeah, that's so interesting, I guess. Well, it's interesting because I can see pieces of myself in Lewis as well.
Yeah.
Which frightened me because I'm like, I am not supposed to like this character, but he's not unlikable. He's not unlikable.
That's almost all the characters. Even to the parts that you haven't gotten to. I would actually say, some people have said that it keeps getting better to me. I feel like it's kind of, it tapered off and it's kind of going down a little bit right now. I don't really care too much for the current villain, and it's getting a little bit more into world building, and the world building to me, like some of the explanations for why things are the way that they are, I don't buy. They seem ridiculous. Some of it is unreliable narrator, but in a lot of cases it's like, that's ridiculous. There's no way that would work. And I can tell that it's not a matter of unreliable narrators just being silly. But anyways.
But it's so silly you can't even suspend your disbelief.
Yeah, sort of like that. But anyways, as far as like all the characters go, there's like a couple of characters where they're like villains where I could say, yes, she has explained why they are the way that they are, but I still don't like them on any level. There's like a couple that are sort of like that, I guess. But she always gives good reasons for why they are doing what they're doing. Yeah. And
like
the revealed killer is probably a really good example of that whenever you eventually get to it. Of course, it's way past season 1, so I'm not going to go into it.
Yeah, don't tell me. I'm really excited. I think I know who it is. But maybe not.
I didn't know exactly whenever I got to it. Like, I had narrowed down the list. It's like, it's probably going to be like this or this. And whenever it went into it, it's like, yeah, okay, yeah. Like, I didn't know exactly, down to the exact person. It was like, yeah, I'm not surprised at all.
Okay. Okay.
So I don't think you have enough, you might not have enough information right now.
I might not. I might not.
But anyways.
Because right now mine is a guess based on visuals, and that's all I have.
Yeah.
From the very first scene.
Yeah, it's not like a mystery. It's not exactly like a mystery or anything. So I guess that's never really the point. But you can probably figure it out by now, I think, maybe.
Okay. Okay. What do you think of Juno? I don't think you like her very much, do you?
She's way more likable in the manga.
Really?
Because a lot of it just comes down to the way that she's drawn and the way that she sort of presents herself. Because in the anime, she comes across way more as... Like, even in the manga, her entire personality trait is that she's a selfish person that wants worldly things. And a lot of the reasons why she's interested in Legoshi in the first place, like, some of it is that, oh, he's a very kind, gentle person, and she finds that, like, attractive to some degree. But a lot of it is he's a pure-blooded wolf. And he's sort of popular with the people around here, and has some degree of authority and presence within the club. And a lot of it, is just a matter of status and what she can do with that. So it's very shallow in comparison to his actual relationship with Haru.
Yeah. Yeah. The reasoning she gives behind her being the way she is, at least so far that I've seen in the anime, I know that girl. I know that girl in and out. I have met her. That is one of my friends. And I know a few women who are exactly like that. I couldn't believe my ears as I was hearing her speak. I mean, obviously not.
Well, she's very much so like a politician in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved the confrontation between her and Lewis. That was one of my favorite scenes I've seen where she displays her strength. Because it didn't even occur to me that a female wolf could absolutely beat the fuck out of, like, a super strong male buck. Like, my brain... Oh, I'm excited.
There's a couple.
You don't make that noise often.
There's a couple of scenes with her and Lewis that are sort of like that. You're gonna get real excited about those. But
I'm excited.
There's another scene in regards to the strength that characters have over one another. I will refer to it as the warm-up scene. That you will not be prepared for that one, because I was not prepared for that. It's like, wait, what? Shit. What the fuck? Like, that was my reaction to that. You'll know it whenever you see it.
I'm excited.
But sorry, to your original question about her, I do like her most whenever she is, whenever she is confused and she can't really understand what's happening around her, is whenever I like her the best. Because that makes her way more, it makes it way easier
tangible?
To understand her and to empathize with her whenever she's just confused. Okay. Whenever she's chasing something because she wants it, because me, because she is that character. She's the me, all for me. Like, she is that person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, I don't like people like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, she's very self-centered.
Yes.
Shit,
there was a line, I can't remember if it was in the, I think it's in season 1, where she describes herself as being a selfish person, or she's accused of being a selfish person. She says, is there something so wrong with being selfish? Because I think she's talking to Lewis about it. And
yeah, I think she does say that.
I think he actually responds with no. And here I am, I was like watching and saying, yeah, that's awful. Like, it's awful to be a selfish person. Then I started thinking about it. It's like, but is it though? Because that's just so not me. Because I'm a very not selfish person. I hate that characteristic in people. Whenever you're...
Yeah.
Because there's so much to say about just being alive and being a person and seizing the things that you want out of life and living the best life that you want to live. And a lot of that revolving around just being selfish and being, like, trying to make sure that the world revolves around you. And some of the most successful people in life are just like that. And like I've never been able to really come to terms with that because I'm just so not like that.
Right. I mean,
But you
I
kind of
feel
should
like-
be in a way.
well, everything in moderation, right? Like it's, self-care.
Yeah.
Like that's making a big, not comeback, but that's a big surge right now. And I think there are some aspects of her that I'm like, shit, I wish I were more like that. Jesus Christ. I think her drive, I think that's what's interesting about her. I don't like her, like super like her, but I find her to be one of the most interesting characters because here she is, a female expressing more traditionally masculine personality traits.
She's not passive.
No.
I do
and I
find
think
that
that's fascinating.
and with the women that I've actually found attractive in life, they're always like hero type characters. Like Lugosi is attracted to Haru because she's so in your face about things and really
Yeah.
bold and stuff. Like I like women like that in a way of I like hero characters. I like it whenever in a finished picture. I like hero characters. I like women that are filled with self-agency and they're willing to take risks and get in people's faces and they have strong characteristics like that. So I do like that element to her character.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think it's weird. The most attractive character I have seen is weirdly the Harlequin Rabbit, though. And we've only had, 2 scenes with her in the anime, I think. Maybe 3.
well, physically, I guess. Of course, in the manga,
like,
she's
I
just
just-
whatever.
Yeah. I just think she's the most like, oh, my eyes kind of go, oh, that's pretty, right? And then Juno, and then a few other, and then it's like, oh, and then there's
I think we
Haru.
can all agree the most endearing character, though, is apparently her name is Legum. Legum. She's the chicken.
I love the fucking chicken so much. I was thrilled that it wasn't a whole episode. It was 15 minutes though.
Is one
was
isolated
devoted to
episode.
her?
Yeah, in the manga is one whatever issue or whatever you want to call it, chapter.
I definitely want more of that bitch. I want more of her. She was great.
There's a couple of
which I
times
guess
where
is
they have
the-
one-offs like that.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm so excited. I find almost all of the characters super interesting. I want to know more about what is he, a peacock? He's the costumer?
Oh, Dom, I forget what kind
He's blue.
of.
He's like an emu, but he's like blue, so I thought he was a peacock.
I think he's gay, actually.
Oh really?
They haven't really gone too
I
much
think
into
he's-
him, but I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Oh, he's interesting to look at. The fucking pelican. I love even Bill. I know fucking Bill. You know Bill.
Yes.
Everybody knows Bill.
Bill has made a lot of. Bill is just like the good old boy around here.
Yeah.
He's just the guy that thinks he's got it all together, wants to be the best, but he keeps fucking up, and he's got lots of character flaws, but he's still good at heart. There's a one-off side story of. I'm not going to go into it. It's way far in. It's near kind of the tail end of where we are now, I guess. You will really be endeared with it. But anyways, so
Oh, I'm excited.
finalized drawing. There we go. Hope you enjoy Haru and Lugosi in all their glory. Unfortunately, it's not on screen for you anymore, Paige.
No, but it's beautiful.
Yes. Actually, maybe I can...
Can you?
There we go.
There it is. I love it. I love it. I love that the carnivores have sharp nails and the herbivores all have round nails. So
I'm glad that
nice
my
detail.
hands don't look... I wouldn't be able to open jars of pickles if I look like that.
Yeah, when I get my nails done, it's fucked. I can't do shit.
My hands feel like that sometimes.
Can't do
so.
shit.
All right.
Oh yeah. Are you? Oh, go ahead.
No. This is pretty much it. This is the format of the video.
Oh, okay. Cool.
All right. So, hope you guys enjoyed this experimental sort of podcast review of Beastars. Any final thoughts from you?
I can't recommend it enough. I don't normally binge shows. I binged all the way through. Couldn't get enough.
Yeah, I
I
watched
never
it
do
one
that,
day,
but
yeah.
I did. It's great.
I love it whenever something actually has good writing that is character focused.
Yeah, and I didn't hate the cliffhangers. I welcomed them, couldn't wait, and then I just dove into the next episode. Great. It's perfect.
I've said this I've said this before, but the core to any form of writing is always going to come down to stories about people being people. Even if you're in some sort of like weird Star Wars universe or anything. That's one of the reasons why, like, I've been listening to Star Wars audiobooks just driving to places just to have something there. And so many of those are so boring because they're just, and then the Jedi used his laser sword and beat the bad man, and here was a trade negotiation. It's just so dry and pointless because the Jedi don't have any, like, human emotions to them most of the time.
Yeah.
And, like, anytime... Like, I really like it whenever female writers knock things out of the park, because male writers, like, even, like, whenever I was writing, I tried to focus on characters, but even I fell prey to focusing too much on, like, setting and, like, a cool thing happening from here to there. And,
yeah.
But whenever a female writer actually knocks it out of the park, you know she's going to knock it out of the park because she's focused on the characters being characters and actually understanding them and understanding their motivations. And all the characters, from the primary characters all the way down to the secondary characters in this show, actually exhibit traits that you can understand.
Yeah. It frightens me how when a character does something bad, and I know it's bad and it's wrong, but it's so understandable that my heart breaks. That's rare for me to feel with shows lately, and this one just, knocks it out of the park.
Especially with a story about, with a nonsense setting, like all animals are actually, have human level intelligence and are walking around eating tofu.
Yeah, oh man, that's something we gotta talk eventually, if not here, about the role of the chicken in society.
The role of the chicken.
Like, the chicken is a goddess. The chicken allows
it's
tofu
sort
and
of
chicken.
similar to how BoJack handled it. I don't know if you ever actually.
I actually never saw it.
No.
BoJack
eventually answered the question of, well, how do they eat anything?
Yeah.
BoJack handled it differently in a comedic way of saying that there are animals that exist that are stupider. Like, they will have, like, normal chicken people, and then they'll have the stupid chicken people. And the stupid chicken people are so stupid that they kind of just exist to be culled and made into meat and to harvest their eggs. And that's where their consumption-based society comes from.
Right,
and there's a whole couple of episodes where the California people are very concerned about the integrity of the stupid chickens that can't think for themselves, and they try to force the chicken to be a people, and it doesn't work too well. So chicken cannot be people.
I'll have to watch it.
Yeah, but anyways.
But in this show, she should be revered as a goddess, and I'm just surprised. Huh?
She's a good girl, though. Maybe we'll have a...
Yeah, she's fucking
I
great.
might have to have another art gripe where we go deeper into things later on. Maybe we'll have a manga-focused one, and that will be especially spoiler-heavy if you actually get through it.
I'm gonna dive in tonight. I only waited because of this, so I'm ready
It'll
to dive
take
in.
a couple days, if not way more than that.
Okay.
All right, so you guys in the comment section tell me what you thought of this experiment. I actually made this drawing only took like 5 or something hours to complete, thankfully, as opposed to the 15 the last one did. So I made sure that it was a little bit slower than normal, but even that was not enough time. So maybe in the future I'll make them even slower, even longer videos, maybe 2-hour-long art gripes. I'm sure that'll go along well with my other core part of the audience that are more animation focused. Who knows? We'll see. All right, so if you want to check out Peach Saliva, you can search for her horrible name on Twitter, in addition to Twitch. Isn't that right?
Yes, that is correct.
All right. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let us both know what you thought. See you guys next time. So long. Say goodbye, Paige.
Goodbye, Paige.
Okay, thank you.